Now this is the Kamerar SD-1. Now as you can see, it's a manual slider as there's no motors or any means of automation, but it is my very first slider. So in today's video, we're going to be testing this thing out to see whether is it relevant in 2022. Now for a start, what's so interesting about this slider, as you can see, it's nearly in the shape of a toy car, but it has actually two different modes. One of it is obviously its wheels, the other one is actually its spikes. So let's say for a ground like this, you want to use something like the spikes to be able to have it grounded. So what you have to do is basically just to turn it. And once you can see that the spikes is actually above the wheels over here, you can actually lay it on the ground and turn this knob, and then the slider motion can actually begin. Now the second very unique thing about this slider is that it can do this very unique arcing motion. So what you have to do is basically just to turn the wheels this direction and the other one. So once we have the wheel set up, it should be able to do this very unique circular direction. Now here I have is my A7 II camera. So let's see this effect. Just in case you guys are curious what lens is mounted, it's actually the 16-35 Carl Zeiss lens. Now the third unique feature is actually the pulleys that are at the end of the slider. As you can see, there's one over here and there's another one over here. So I do think that the brand has a motorized module in mind to actually make this whole slider electronic. Here I have some strings and we're going to be seeing whether this thing can actually be tugged manually. What I'm going to do is that there's actually this screw over at the base plate here. I'm going to be tying here and tying over here to be able to see whether I can get a smoother sliding effect. So now that we got some unique footages from this slider, let's head back to the home studio and break down some details such as the specifications for some of you guys who are actually considering getting one yourself. So we are back into the home studio and I've actually packed the slider back to its original box, and just to give you guys a close-up look, so this is how the box looks like, and once we have it up close, here are the distinct features of this particular slider. Now let's do a quick run through of how this being set up. So the box itself is actually pretty simple. By default, there actually were styrofoam pieces to be able to keep all this in place, but I've actually removed them. So let's start with the wheels. So as you have seen from the start, it comes with these two wheels, 1 and 2. And of course the main slider piece itself. And what's interesting about it is once you can see up close, there's actually all this printed brand over here. So we'll unscrew this section over here. And it'll come with these two very prominent pieces, a rubber ball bearing and this screw. So what you have to do is to first put the rubber padding, put in the wheels which has a screw over here. And of course we'll do it also for the other side. So after that, you want to get a ball head and place it on top of the slider itself. And then place the camera on top of the ball head. And it's all being set up. Alright, let's now remove its ball head. It's a little bit hard to keep it in frame. Alright, before we talk about its specifications, if you guys are enjoying this content, do remember give me a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Let's get nerdy and talk about its specifications. Now its length measures about 58.4 cm or about 22.9 inches. For its width by the side, which includes the wheels, measures about 19.1 cm or about 7.5 inches. As for its weight, it comes in at about 170 grams or about 0.3 pounds. As for its load capacity, it can handle up to 10 kg or about 4.5 pounds worth of gears. But there is a funny requirement from the manufacturer though, because once you have it set up, it actually looks like a toy car and it might actually glide through the surface itself. So there needs to be a weight on it to be able to keep this in place. So the minimum recommended weight would be about 5 pounds or about 2.2 kg worth of weight to actually ground this. Now let's talk about its price. How much is one of these? Currently this model is not actively available, but I think they will restock it. I actually got mine about 150 SGD or about 90 USD. Let's move on to my verdict about this manual slider. What do I actually think of it? And is it relevant in 2020? Personally for me, you guys probably know that I actually have two sliders the Smarter Slider Mini, and the Vector Gear Slider. Both of these are motorized sliders, so it actually makes my job a lot easier and the motion a little bit smoother. So unless both of these really breaks down, it's unlikely that I'll go back to this caveman manual option unless I need a longer glide or I want this very particular arcing motion. But for 90 USD, this is really good start for a slider. It has actually gotten me through my beginner days as a filmmaker. It will teach you to be able to use the sliding motion manually and be able to know the mechanics of how to get a good glide. Slide. But to highlight the two downsides of this slider is firstly its size and secondly the lack of a ball head. So you also want to set aside about 20 to 50 USD to get a good ball head to be placed on top of the slider. If you guys enjoyed this video or other content on my channel, I recently started my YouTube memberships down below, so any support for this channel really matters a lot, especially in my early part of my YouTube journey. If not, I'll see you guys in the next video.